Good morning. Check, check. Good morning. Yes. So, a very good morning, everyone. Uh, Hope you're all waiting for the new year. And so, 2021 was relatively, என்ன சொல்றது, 2020 was relatively problematic because we spent a lot of months inside homes. And preparation itself got problematic because we were not able to stresslessly deal with things and a lot of other things. We were not able to interact with our peer groups. We were not able to practice questions with our fellow members. So meeting and everything and anything became difficult. We have all switched to the online mode. Hope 2021 brings us a new dawn with a lot of new things and better ways of interacting with people. Okay, so I wish you all good luck in the coming year. And while talking about a new year, take some extra measures or extra steps for you to crack this exam. Wherever you are feeling you are lagging, kindly spend enough time over there. Okay, so these are the things that I wanted to say for your new year. Have a safe uh, New Year Eve and have a good year ahead. Okay, so now coming to environment area, let me see how much you have revised. We have few questions to solve today. Then we'll go back to the areas which we were uh, talking about, like the basic concepts and definitions in environment we were dealing with. So we will go back there after solving few of these questions. Yes. So question number one. Yeah, good morning, good morning. What's the answer for this question? It's it's a very, very easy question. Guys, why are you taking so much of time for such a simple question? Okay, C A. Mm. Okay, any other answers? Someone is thinking it's B or D? No? Yes? Okay, so you have confusion between only A and C, and it's not B and D. Good that you don't confuse to that extent. I'm happy, but still, your confusion between C and A is problematic because answer is A, one only. Okay. Yeah, Abdina, look at the second statement. The energy required for the life within the biosphere comes only from the sun now. Is it so? Does it come only from the sun? நிறைய abiotic elements இருக்கு which sustain life. Okay, sun sun மட்டுமே source of energy na photosynthesis மட்டும்தான் process for life ஆ? Okay, sun is an energy giver அப்படின்னா yes, it gives energy to plants because they use light sunlight to create starch, and that is what is consumed by the consumers. Yes, fine. Ana, okay, what we human beings get from sun? Few vitamins, right? So other than this, is there not any other source of energy on earth? There are organic and inorganic components which are found all around us in the environment, right? How can you say that only sun is a source of energy? Okay, so statement 2 is wrong, so it comes to A, option 1 only. Okay, solve this question. Yes, Shiva Shankari. Are you answering the previous question or this one? Number two or the first question? Okay, Sharmi says C. Any other options? No? C again. Okay. No other options? Okay, everyone is kind of coming up with C as an answer. Okay, fine. C, yes, answer is C. ஏன் அப்படின்னா chemosynthetic bacteria அப்படின்னாலே they are not photosynthetic, means they require chemicals, that is inorganic molecules, okay, for their energy needs. Okay, so most chemosynthetic bacteria live in environments where sunlight is unable to penetrate. சன்லைட்டே இல்லாத இடத்துல தான் வந்து, that is very logical. If you see, UPSC will give such statements where, you know, statement 1 and 2 will be logically connected. Okay, yes, if they are chemosynthetic means they don't use photo, that is they don't use light, that is sunlight. Okay, so why they don't use sunlight? Because their habitat is areas where sunlight is not able to penetrate. So these two statements are logically connected. So in this probability, only C or D. Now in this question, you know that these statements are right, therefore you can come up with the answer C. Okay, so if such logically connected two statements are given in a question, then it means the answer would be either C or D. Okay, only by knowing whether whatever the subject is in the question, you can answer between C and D. But however, if two statements are logically connected, இதுவே வந்து இந்த ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்டுக்கு இந்த ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்க்கு முரண் இருந்ததுன்னா, it's very obvious that you can eliminate. கரெக்ட்டுங்களா? ஸோ இத வச்சு தான் you can come up with, you know, some answers in exam. Yeah. Now you know this answer and you said it good. Everyone was attempted good. Now, so what is the difference between, இங்க வந்து நீங்க questionல வந்து it is given inorganic molecules, right? So tell me, what is the difference between organic and inorganic? Some of you must be also writing group 1 this weekend. So explain me, what's organic, what's inorganic? How do you classify components and molecules into organic and inorganic? What's the difference? How do you classify? What's the criteria? Tell me. Most of you would have been science group students only. Organic is decomposable. Okay. Inorganic is non-decomposable. Ah. This is the basic classification. Chemistry நீங்க இப்படி தான் படிச்சீங்களா? Organic acid, inorganic acid. What's the difference? அப்படி கேட்டா decomposable, non-decomposableங்கிற criteria வச்சு தான் classify பண்ணுவீங்களா organic and inorganic? No, right? I clearly asked what is an organic molecule and what is an inorganic molecule, means you are supposed to say in its chemical structure or chemically how they are different, not about their properties, whether they are soluble or insoluble, whether they are decomposable, non-decomposable, etc. Good, good Vignesh Kumar. Yes, Organic molecules are formed of carbon and hydrogen, okay, predominantly carbon. Yes. So inorganic will not, have carbon, hydrogen in larger number. What are organic molecules? Very easy. You eat food. What is organic in it? It has carbohydrates, amino acids, and it has lipids. All these are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, right? Yes or no? So these are organic. Okay, inorganic does not consist of these three predominantly. You can see the difference here. There will not be carbon hydrogen bondages in inorganic substances. Okay, if you see here, you can see CH bondage everywhere. Here it is CH, here it is CH, CC, CH, CH. If you see whatever of these kind, it's, CH bondage is the most. You cannot see CH bondages when it comes to inorganic. Okay, so these are basic things. Okay, so because you need to know, see, this year they asked a question like, depending on the pressure temperature relationship, okay, whether they are directly proportional or inversely proportional, depending on this thing, you can answer a question in your GS paper. So you can really expect these things related to acidity, basicity, which is again under pH. Okay, இத வச்சு questions கேட்கறதுக்கு chances இருக்கு. Okay, because we always talk about acidification of oceans, we are talking about acid rains. So all this means, that we are uh, prone to getting such questions on these basics also. Okay, UPC now has shifted the way it is asking questions. It can ask an application based question from this area also. Okay, of course it's not going to give like four options saying, asking you to pick which is an organic or which is inorganic in your, just like your TNPC exam. That's not going to happen anyway. But still, these concepts are essential. Even if you don't, even if UPSC is not asking, these things are basic, so you need to go through NCRTs. Fine. Yeah, now coming to this third question, try to answer this one. This is a easy one. With reference to food chains, you're supposed to look at these statements and answer. You definitely know what a detritus food chain is, right? It's dealing with dead and decaying organic matter. So, which means statement 2 is definitely there. Which means you have no option to eliminate right now by knowing that this fact is right. Yes, because all the statements, all the options that you have, A, B, C, and D, have to as an option, right? So you cannot escape. Now you need to solve whether A, 1 and 3 are correct or not. Only by knowing these two facts, now we are going to crack this question. Okay, Vignesh Kumar says C, 2 and 3 only. Okay, Sharmi says A, all statements are correct. Okay, Sharmi, can you explain why statement number 1 is right? Because grass is found only in a terrestrial ecosystem. Is that a logic you have? Okay, whoever said B, can you explain why statement 3 is wrong? Explain me why they cannot be linked. Okay, Shiva Shankari says answer is C. No, now you are giving me the explanation. Enough of answering. Now try and tell me why 1 cannot be the answer and why 3 cannot be the answer. I told you, stop answering. And whoever has said, 1 and 3 can't be the right statements, kindly explain why. What is your logic for solving this? There is something that makes you say that it's wrong. Explain me. Only when you say the counter logic, we can examine how much of an understanding you are having, whether it's right or wrong. Abdina. Don't feel bad about going wrong in initial phases of learning. It's fine. Okay, grazing and detritivous food chains are linked. So you know the fact, and that is why you say 2 and 3 only could be answer. So why not 1 is my question. Can you answer that? Answer is yes, good. It's not only found in terrestrial ecosystem, meaning they are found also in aquatic ecosystems. Okay, so by grazing food chain, if you had read the book, you would have a better idea, actually. Okay, so the thing is, if grazing food chain அப்படின்னு சொல்றது just because it begins with grass doesn't mean it has to be always terrestrial. Okay, do you get it? You will have plants, grass like plants, which are photosynthetic even in aquatic environments. Okay, we call them phytoplanktons. Okay, so answer is C. Grazing food chain refers to the food chain where producer is a plant, then it goes to primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then tertiary consumer. Okay, whatever is not involving a dead and decay of organism will definitely fall into this category. Okay, hope you are understanding. So answer is C. Okay, good. Whoever said C, good, very good. Now coming to this one. So now you know this is definitely right. Yeah, how about option number 2? That is also right. Already these statements were there in the third question itself. Okay, okay. So see both 1 and 2. Yes, okay. Now answer this one. Let me see how much you have revised. This will tell me how much you have studied. B. Amensalism. You definitely know it's not neutralism. Because in neutralism, both the species effect is zero. But இங்க அப்படி கிடையாது. One plant, that is a small plant. A large tree shades a small plant. Large tree is not impacted at all. Small plant is negatively impacted because it cannot grow under the shade of a large tree, right? So now come up with it has no impact at all. So this is 0 and this is negative. What does this 0 and negative tell you? What relationship is it? Can we eliminate C also? How can we eliminate C? Because both in competition and predation, both are negatively impacted. So we can eliminate both C and D definitely. Yes. So people are saying answer is amensalism. Can you say what is commensalism then? Someone can explain? What are commensals? What is commensalism? What is the example? Can you at least give example? Okay, someone is saying A now. Now that they asked what is commensalism, did you shift your answer? The correct answer is B. Yes. One is positive and one is neutral அப்படின்னா then it's commensalism. One is negative and one is neutral na then it's amensalism. Okay, so revise the tabulation properly. Remember the examples more. Okay, that will help you. Rather than going with the definition, if you remember what is for what, then you can easily remember. Yes, okay. Now, coming to this question, try and answer this one. Let me see if you have studied all those cycles now. Let me mark the keywords now. Okay, Tilak says A, 1 and 4 only. 1 and 4. Okay, Medha Gupta also says A. How did you eliminate 2 and 3? Can you say? What's the reason for eliminating 2 and 3 statements? Can you explain? Okay, so Tilak has eliminated 3 because carbon dioxide traps the heat liberated by the earth. Oh, not directly. Okay. So some people are saying D, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the answer is here A, 1 and 4 only. Okay, so most abundant gas in the atmosphere after nitrogen and oxygen, no. Okay, so that is why I said go read this table, the appropriate uh, division. Okay, either first abundant, either second, either third, either least. Okay, atmosphere la gases or distribution, this is very important. Twice UPSC has asked question from this area. Okay, so go and look at this one. Okay, then third one, like Tilak explained, it's 100% right. Okay, so we will be reading about this in our class. We have not come to that point, but good that you have a grasp over this concept. Okay, so whatever is the sun, whatever the sunlight, whatever the quantity be, the amount of sunlight that is coming inside the earth's atmosphere, okay, a part of it is reflected back by the clouds over here, a part of it, is coming back to the earth's surface, part will be getting reflected back, a part will come to the surface, and even in what is coming to the surface, a little will again go back to the atmosphere, and a little will be absorbed by the lithosphere. Okay, so here atmosphere will absorb a little, which means atmospheric carbon dioxide will absorb some amount of heat. Okay, so it is not happening while it is straight away coming. Okay, it's absorbed when this earth surface is getting heated. Okay, that's when it's happening. This process is called insolation, and we have something called the greenhouse gas effect. Okay, about how carbon is essential in sustaining the temperature on earth. Okay, okay, it's already taught in geography. Good, good. But a lot of people said D and all. So you need to revise the basics. Okay, now going to seventh question. Okay, answer this one. Okay, participant says answer is D, both A and C. Good, because phosphorus is a sedimentary cycle, which means it's not a atmospheric cycle. Anna, it is not involving gases. Atmospheric cycle like carbon cycle, water cycle, okay, or gaseous cycles, right? This one is a sediment. Phosphorus is predominantly found in rocks. Yes, right? So it is not a gaseous cycle. Good. Now, come to this one. It's easy. But this requires a conceptual understanding. But let me see how you're logically trying to crack this. Let's see. Okay, so Parthiban says B, two only. Aravind says D, none. How? Okay, see, this statement is wrong. You should definitely know it by now, because last question we saw carbon cycle and water cycle or gaseous cycles, which involves a lot of atmospheric things. Okay, but it is, when it comes to phosphorus, it's a sedimentary cycle, meaning it's largely lithospheric and not atmospheric. Okay, do you understand the difference? What is atmospheric cycle, what is a lithospheric cycle? Yes, even carbon has, settling in the lithosphere kind of a thing. Okay, surface la earth la வந்து sediment ஆக carbon க்கு chance இருக்கு, it turns into graphite, diamond, etc. But however, it is largely atmospheric. எது கார்பன் மாதிரி இருக்கக்கூடிய gaseous cycles. Phosphorus is not a gaseous cycle. Okay, mostly it is only found in the rocks only. Rocks are its source. ஓகே, அது வந்து soluble ஃபார்ம்ல ரன்னிங் வாட்டர்ல கலந்து அல்லது ரெயின் வாட்டர்ல கலந்து when it goes to the surface or when it comes to your groundwater table, through it is absorbed by the plants, etc. Okay, and some amount of phosphorus is also released as a pollutant. Okay, that is a entirely different, but predominantly it is not an atmospheric cycle. Okay, so you definitely can eliminate statement number 1. Coming to statement number 2, phosphorus is responsible for excessive growth of rooted and free floating microscopic plants in water bodies. So, this process you can see eutrophication, algal bloom. Okay, I hope you have heard all these things. Okay, so எங்க வந்து pollutants அதிகமா, like someone has answered, yes, good. NPK fertilizers வந்து அதிகமா யூஸ் பண்றதுனால phosphorus ஓட quantity வந்து இப்ப landsல வந்து அதிகமா இருக்கு. So when it runs, the water runoff enters some water body, what happens is these kind of nutrients NPK can increase the growth of floating plants in the lakes. ஓகே, நம்ம லேக்ஸ்ல வந்து அதிகமா ஆகாய தாமரை வளர்றதுக்கும் சில ஆல்கே வந்து அதிகமா வளர்றதுக்கும் முக்கியமான ரீசன் இந்த நியூட்ரியன்ட் ரிச் வாட்டர் தான். ஓகே, எப்பவுமே வந்து வாட்டர்ல நியூட்ரியன்ஸ் இருக்கும், பட் ரொம்ப எக்ஸசிவா இருக்கிறது எதனால அப்படின்னா பொல்யூட்டன்ஸ் அதிகமா ஆட் ஆகிறதுனால. ஓகே, ஸோ ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் 2 இஸ் ரைட். ஸோ ஆன்சர் இஸ் பி இன் தட் கொஸ்டின். Okay, so try and answer this one. Okay, it looks also stuck. I forgot to align it, but yeah, take your time, read and answer this one. Let me mark the keywords. So this question is about ecotone. We have seen about ecotone in our class. So you need to know whether it is larger, zone of tension, well developed, and interjunction. Okay, may contain some unique. Okay, Vignesh Kumar says answer is B. 2, 3, and 4. Mhm. Okay. Parthiban also says B. Any other answers? Tilak also says B. Okay. Okay, so a lot of answers are B. Answer exactly is Why? So be careful when you read the question, read it completely. Just because 8 questions are, you know, choose a correct answer doesn't mean incorrect questions could be asked. Okay. So you were all logically right. Okay. நீங்க அந்த incorrectங்கிற statement பார்க்கல அப்படின்னா then it's right. Okay. So yes, statement 1 is incorrect because it cannot be larger than a biome. ஓகே ஈகோட்டோன் அப்படிங்கிறது என்ன ரெண்டு ஈகோசிஸ்டம்க்கு நடுவுல ஓகே ஈகோசிஸ்டம் ஏ ஈகோசிஸ்டம் பிக்கு நடுவுல இருக்கிற a zone of ஒரு zone of interaction is what you can call an ecotone. Correcta? How can they be bigger than the biomes? Biomes are larger regions in our earth where there is similar climatic conditions, right? So they form like இப்போ நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா டெம்பரேட் ஏரியா இன் டெம்பரேட் ஏரியாஸ் இன் என்டையர் வேர்ல்ட் பாத்தீங்கன்னா எவ்வளோ ஸ்கொயர் கிலோமீட்டர்ஸ் வரும் கரெக்டா ஸோ அதை விட ரெண்டு ஈகோசிஸ்டம் இன்டராக்ட் பண்ற ஒரு குட்டி ஏரியாஸ் வந்து பெருசா இருக்க முடியுமா அதோ நோ தட் டசன்ட் மேக் சென்ஸ் அட் ஆல் right so if you eliminate one you'll come with the answer but here incorrect statement has been asked so answer is C, one only. Okay, yes, so good. Now we shall go back to our content for the day. Okay, no. Yes, so we were talking about succession in our last class. Yes, so we'll go back to it. Yes, so what is succession? நம்ம அன்னைக்கே பார்த்தோம் ஒரு கம்யூனிட்டியோட ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் வந்து just a second friends. Yeah, so yes, now I hope you are able to see the slides. So the change of community structure due to environmental change through time is called succession. ஓகே ஒரு கம்யூனிட்டியோட ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் வந்து என்வாயன்மெண்டல் சேஞ்ச்னால மாறுச்சு த்ரூ த்ரூ அ பீரியட் ஆஃப் டைம் அப்படின்னா அதை நம்ம சக்சஷன்னு சொல்லுவோம் அப்படின்னு சொன்னோம் ஸோ ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் டைம்ல அந்த கம்யூனிட்டி வந்து இட் வில் ரீச் சம்திங் கால்டு கிளைமேக்ஸ் ஓகே புதுசா ஒரு இடத்த போய் ஆக்கிரமிக்கும் அப்புறம் அது அங்கிருந்து கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா வளரும் டெவலப் ஆகும் then it will become what is called a climax community means it is a mature community அப்படின்னு அர்த்தம் okay so I have brought the diagram today you can see here I gave an example quarried rock or a newly cut rock ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு ஒரு குன்று மாதிரி இருக்கிற ஒரு இடத்துல ஒரு சின்ன போர்ஷன் வந்து எக்ஸ்ப்ளோசிவ் வச்சு ரிமூவ் பண்றீங்கன்னு வைங்களேன் ஃபார் சம் பர்பஸ் ஸோ திஸ் ஏரியா இஸ் நியூலி அவைலபிள் இட்ஸ் அ பேர் ராக் ஓகே இந்த இடம் இந்த ராக் ரிமூவ் பண்ணியாச்சு ஸோ இங்க ஒரு நியூலி எக்ஸ்போஸ்டு சர்ஃபேஸ் வந்து இருக்கு okay so இப்போ என்ன ஆகும் it is colonized by what is called a pioneer species is the one which goes and colonizes that region where no other life is found ஓகே வேற லைஃப் இல்லாத இடத்துல திடீர்னு போய் pioneer species can go and sustain itself ஓகே ரொம்ப பிரிமிட்டிவான ஆர்கானிசமா தான் அது இருக்கும் ஓகே இட் cannot be a grass or a tree which has its own systems okay this will be a very small organism only so pioneer species could be something like mosses okay which grows on your bread madri irukலையா so these are small organisms which go and grow there initially அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன ஆகும் அது வந்து டீகம்போஸ் ஆகும் ஸோ அது டீகம்போஸ் ஆகிறது மூலியமா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அந்த ராக்குக்கு மேல என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னா யூ சி சாயில் கெட்டிங் கிரியேட்டட் ஓகே அது வந்து பேர் ராக் ராக்ல வந்து பிளான்ட் வளர முடியுமா? வளராது. அப்ப என்ன வளரும்? இந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஆர்கானிசம் தான் வளரும். ஸோ அந்த ஆர்கானிசம் டெட் அண்ட் டீகே ஆகும்போது என்ன ஆகும்? தேர் வில் கிரியேட் சாயில். டீகம்போஸ் ஆகும்போது மண்ணு மாதிரி ஒரு ஒரு ஸ்மால் சப்ஸ்ட்ராட்டம் வந்து அங்க கிரியேட் ஆகும். ஓகே, ஸோ நவ் grasses கேன் காலனைஸ் தட் ஏரியா. Okay, so grass will now displace the pioneer species. The pioneer species, that is moss in this case, is now displaced by grasses. Okay, so இப்போ இந்த grasses வந்து டெட் ஆகும், டீகே ஆகும். இந்த grasses சாப்பிட்றதுக்கு கிராஸ் ஹாப்பர்ஸ் வரும். அப்போ இங்க வந்து ஒரு புது ஈகோசிஸ்டம் கிரியேட் ஆகும். கரெக்ட்டுங்களா? அப்ப என்ன ஆகும்? அதிக நியூட்ரியன்ஸ் இந்த சாயிலுக்கு வரும். Grass is usually, not a demanding kind of a thing. Okay, it doesn't require rich nutrients and all to grow, but wherever higher plants require more nutrition. Okay, so அதிகமா இந்த கிராஸ் வளர்ந்து வளர்ந்து டிகே ஆகுறது, இதை சாப்பிட்றதுக்கு கிராஸ் ஹாப்பர்ஸ் வருது. இது இந்த ப்ராசஸ் எல்லாம் நடக்க நடக்க என்ன ஆகும்? நியூட்ரியன்ட் ரிச் சாயிலா இது மாறிக்கிட்டே வரும். Okay, so when this soil becomes nutrient rich, it also means it can allow the growth of some plants and shrubs. Then gradually it will also lead to the growth of trees in a longer run. Okay, it may not happen immediately, but it will happen in a longer run. Yes, so this is known as primary succession. Primary succession because if you remember, we have discussed, it happens in an uninhabitable or formerly uninhabitable zone. எங்க இதுக்கு முன்னாடி உயிர் இருக்க முடியாதுங்கிற மாதிரியான ஒரு இடமா இருந்ததோ அது வந்து புதுசா வந்து லிவிங் ஆர்கானிசம்ஸை வந்து ஹோஸ்ட் பண்ண ஆரம்பிக்குது அப்படின்னா, then this process of newly going and adapting to an environment by living organisms, it is called primary succession. Yes, we saw about this last class. Yeah, so this is this drawing for it. Then, so what is secondary succession then? It refers to series of community changes which take place on a previously colonized. So this is the key difference between primary and secondary. Okay, முதல்ல இருந்தது வந்து காலனைஸ் ஆகாத ஒரு இடத்துக்கு புதுசா ஒரு ஸ்பீஷிஸ் போகுது. ஆனா இங்க அப்படி கிடையாது. Okay, already it was colonized, but it got disturbed and damaged due to some reasons, and now it is coming back to life. You can see with this example. Okay, so there is forest fire. So what happens? Again, pioneer species will come and start growing grasses. Then what happens? Intermediate species like shrubs will start growing. Then you will again see the same kind of trees growing there, which is climax community, but it will take a longer time in terms of years. Okay, so this is what. There are also other types of succession called autogenic and allogenic succession, depending on யாரு வந்து, அதாவது what creates or what makes the environment to change. ஓகே, அங்க இருக்கக்கூடிய கம்யூனிட்டி சேஞ்ச் ஆகிறதுக்கான ரீசன் என்ன, கம்யூனிட்டி ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் சேஞ்ச் ஆகிறதுக்கான ரீசன் என்ன அப்படிங்கறத பொறுத்து இட் குட் பி கிளாசிஃபைட் இன்டு ஆட்டோஜெனிக் அண்ட் அலோஜெனிக் சக்சஷன். ஓகே, ஸோ ஆட்டோஜெனிக் மீன்ஸ் சேஞ்சஸ் brought about living inhabitants, brought about by. ஓகே, ஸோ இப்போ அங்க வந்து ஒரு பிளான்ட் இருக்கு. ஓகே, ஸோ இந்த பிளான்ட் டெட் அண்ட் டிகே மூலியமா சக்சஷன் நடக்குது அப்படின்னா இட் இஸ் கால்ட் ஆட்டோஜெனிக். Okay, because it's a living inhabitant. Whereas there is allogenic, meaning some external force. Okay, it's not the living organism there, but some external force is allowing this thing to change. For instance, let's say for instance இப்போ வந்து Arctic or Antarctic region. Okay, they are mostly not regions where organisms can, different kind of organisms can live so easily, right? And the temperature adjustment adaptation இருக்கக்கூடிய சில ஸ்பீஷிஸ் மட்டும்தான் அங்க வாழும் இல்லைங்களா? ஸோ இப்போ ஒருவேளை ஆர்க்டிக் வந்து கொஞ்சம் வார்மர் ஆயிட்டே வரும்போது அங்க என்ன ஆகும்? டிஃப்ரெண்ட் பாக்டீரியாஸ் வில் ஸ்டார்ட் காலனைசிங் ஆர்க்டிக். Okay, this is one among the threats also. Okay, as the earth gets warmer, new bacteria will colonize new areas. Okay, so this is one of the reasons. If you see, the tropics will have most of the diseases. அதுக்கு மேல இருக்கிற டெம்பரேட்ஸ்ல வந்து டிசீசஸ் கொஞ்சம் கம்மியா தான் இருக்கும். டிசீசஸ்னு நான் எந்த டிசீசஸ் சொல்றேன்னா, டிசீஸ் டியூ டு மைக்ரோ ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ், pathogens, it could be bacteria, virus. So by bacteria and virus, it definitely means bacteria is necessary for the growth of virus. Okay, virus cannot itself, multiply. It requires a phage or bacteria's body in order to multiply in number, or it requires a human cell. Okay, so predominantly, mostly when the virus, when the first or attack பண்ணும்போது virus, it gets into bacteria, turns it into a bacteriophage, and then mostly releases, its viral particles. Okay, some transmissions are different, like it directly infects the human cells, and it can create the viral particles, so that is also there. So now இப்ப இந்த மாதிரி மைக்ரோ ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ்னால கிரியேட் பண்ணப்படுற diseases are more in the trophic, because their the trophic condition, the warmth, the humidity, the temperature is so conducive for diseases to come. They are, these are communicable diseases, they keep spreading from one person to the another. Okay, whereas in temperate regions, these microorganisms are relatively lesser, and because the temperature is not conducive for them. Now that the earth is becoming warmer and warmer day by day, what's happening is the trophic diseases are going to the temperate regions. So that is why, this is also a reason ட்ராபிக்ல இருக்கிற எல்லா கண்ட்ரீஸ்மே பாத்தீங்கன்னா, மோஸ்ட் ப்ராபப்ளி தே வில் பி த ட்ராபிக் ரீஜன்ஸ் ஆஃப் த வேர்ல்ட் வில் கண்டெயின் டெவலப்பிங் கண்ட்ரீஸ் ஓன்லி. Whereas the temperate region will consist of regions around EU, and there you can see US. So mostly வந்து ஓரளவுக்கு டெவலப்டு கண்ட்ரீஸா தான் இருக்கும் இந்த டெம்பரேட் ரீஜன். Okay, so what, there is a politics behind, these countries trying to invest more on the medicine and healthcare sector of the developing world. Okay, they don't want, diseases to be spread to their part of the world. And also there is one more thing, they are all shouting about carbon dioxide and ozone and climate change and global warming, because they will be the worst affected, because we have always had high temperatures in the tropics, and we are almost exposed to all of the diseases. Okay, we are almost immune to most of it. Okay, but there it's relatively, their immunity is relatively lesser, because their exposure to such diseases is relatively lesser. Okay, so this makes them invest more and cry more about this climate change and global issues, because the warming creates a lot of impact on them more than what it does to India. Okay, so that is the thing. So coming back to our point, where were we? Yeah, so we were talking about autogenic and allogenic. So if, some outside factor other than a living organism like a plant or a microorganism or an animal is creating some change in the community structure of an ecosystem, then you would call it allogenic. Okay, so hope you understand this difference. Okay, I have put it in this thing. This is, I got it from net, so it gives a good explanation. So autogenic, okay, so biotic factors, here it is abiotic factor. Abiotic or external factor could be. So in case of primary and secondary succession starts with autogenic succession. Okay, so now you see here, let's try and understand. So secondary succession la, it starts with autogenic succession னு சொல்றாங்க. So why? ஒரு fire வந்தது, okay, organism has, the plants have got destroyed, the forest has got destroyed. So now it is the pioneer species which is trying to, create new species here. Okay, there is no temperature difference, there is no humidity, there is no climatic difference, there is no sunlight difference that is creating a new ecosystem or community over here. Okay, ஓகே, ஃபாரஸ்ட் மடிஞ்சுது, நியூட்ரியன்ஸ் வந்து திரும்பவும் இதுக்குள்ள தான் போயிருக்கும், ஆஷ் கூட போய் இதோட கலந்துருக்கும், மண்ணோட கலந்துருக்கும், ஆனா புதுசா ஒரு புல்லு முளைக்கும் இல்லையா? Okay, so it is autogenic, meaning it is the plant that is creating this new succession. The grass, which is growing on a forest land after forest fire, is creating the new community structure. Yes, so it is induced by a living organism and therefore it is called autogenic. Or formed from the burnt charcoal apdina. See, it's not like formed from, but yeah, those act as the nutrients for the new organisms to grow. Yes. So now see here, primary succession starts with allogenic succession and proceeds to autogenic succession. So now come to this example. Okay, here the primary succession starts with allogenic, meaning some factor other than living organism. கரெக்டா? ஸோ இங்கே தான் லிவிங் ஆர்கானிசம் எம்ப்ளாய் ஆகுது. Living organism goes and finds a bare rock. So what has actually happened here? Initially that was a rock that was uncut. Okay, that was not conducive for growth of a moss. இப்போ வந்து என்ன இருக்கும், அதோட டெம்பரேச்சர், அங்க வந்து இருக்கக்கூடிய சன்லைட், அங்க இருக்கக்கூடிய ஹீட்டு, அங்க இருக்கக்கூடிய லைட், இது எல்லாமே மாறுது. ஓகே, இட்ஸ் எக்ஸ்டர்னலி ட்ரிகர்ட், ஓகே, பை ஹியூமன் ஆக்டிவிட்டி ஆர் அந்த ராக்கே வந்து வெதரிங் மூலியமா வந்து ஓப்பன் ஆயிருக்கலாம். கரெக்டுங்களா? ஸோ இட்ஸ் அ நேச்சுரல் ப்ராசஸ் பட் நாட் ட்ரிகர்ட் பை அ லிவிங் ஆர்கானிசம், ஆர் இட் இஸ் அ ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் ப்ராசஸ் by a human being. However, it is not involving any plant or animal here. Yes, so it initially begins as a allogenic process, primary succession, and then proceeds to become a autogenic one when a when a living organism is employed in the further changes involved. Okay, so this is how you differentiate autogenic and allogenic. Now, there is also a classification called the autotrophic and heterotrophic succession. Autotrophic change is fostered by producers, heterotrophic by consumers. Okay, autotrophic abdina change is fostered by producers. Okay, producer class na plants. Okay, if plants are creating the change in the community structure, then it is called autotrophic succession. If it is done by consumers, then it is called heterotrophic succession. Okay, now we are coming to an interesting part, what is called bioaccumulation and bio magnification. So these are terms which are generally used to explain about what kind of an impact pollutants produce on living organisms. Okay, so what is meant by bioaccumulation refers to how a pollutant enters a food chain. ஒரு ஃபுட் செயினுக்குள்ள எப்படி ஒரு பொல்யூட்டன்ட் என்டர் ஆகுது அப்படிங்கிறத ரெஃபர் பண்றதுதான் பயோ அக்குமுலேஷன். Okay, it refers to the transfer of one pollutant from one trophic level to the next trophic level. ஓகே, ஸோ ஒன் டிராஃபிக் லெவல்ல இருந்து இன்னொரு டிராஃபிக் லெவலுக்கு போகிற அந்த டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர். ஓகே, ஒரு பொல்யூட்டன்ட் ஒன்னுல இருந்து இன்னொன்னுக்கு போகுது. ஓகே, ஒரு டிராஃபிக் லெவல்ல இருந்து ஒரு பிளான்ட்ல இருந்து நெக்ஸ்ட் அந்த பிளான்ட்டை கன்சியூம் பண்ற அனிமலுக்கு போகுது. This is change one trophic level to another trophic level, right? So if a pollutant, let's suppose DDT, okay, it goes to plant, then it goes to the animal which is consuming this plant. Yes, so this is called bioaccumulation. Okay, it talks purely about transfer of the pollutant from one trophic level to the other. It talks about how it has become a part of the food chain. Yes, so now what is meant by biomagnification? Okay, it refers to the tendency of the pollutant to increase in its concentration as it transfers to the subsequent higher trophic levels. ஓகே, அடுத்தடுத்த trophic level, இது plant, இது வந்து primary consumer, இது secondary consumer. ஓகே, இப்படிதான் வந்து இந்த cycle போயிட்டு இருக்கு இல்லையா? So now what happens is, it refers to the tendency of the pollutant to increase in its concentration as it transfers to higher levels. இதுக்கு முன்னாடி எப்படி அந்த ஒவ்வொரு trophic levelலையும் transfer ஆகுதுங்கிறது மட்டும்தான் பார்த்தோம். Okay, so by bioaccumulation, they mean they are getting accumulated in the environment. Okay, it means from one trophic level to the other trophic level, it is getting transferred. There we are not talking about the quantity of the pollutant. Okay, we are just saying it is getting transferred. Okay, whereas in biomagnification, it means the concentration of that particular pollutant keeps increasing. Okay, as we go to higher trophic levels, there is increase in the concentration of the pollutant. So this is the slide highlighting the difference between bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So if you see here, நம்ம இங்க வந்து மெர்க்குரி தான் பொல்யூட்டன்ட்னு வச்சுப்போம். ஓகே, ஸோ ஃபிஷ்ஷஸ்ல வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அப்படியே அதிகமாயிட்டே போகுது, ஸ்மால் ஃபிஷ்ல இருந்து லார்ஜ் ஃபிஷ் போக போக. ஓகே, ஸோ ஹியர் we only see that from one trophic level to the other, it is getting increased. It is getting transferred. Okay, in terms of when it comes to biomagnification, what happens is, so the contaminant level, it gets magnified as we go from this level to this level to this level. So இங்க வந்து concentration அதிகமாகுது, அதிகமானா மட்டும்தான் அது biomagnification. வெறும் அது வந்து transfer ஆயிட்டே வந்துச்சு அப்படின்னா that is called bioaccumulation. Okay, so that is the thing. I think we'll stop here and come back after a break. Yes, thank you. Now we shall see a little bit about the types of ecosystems. And after types of ecosystems, we have some specific areas like mangroves and corals, which are very important for UPSC because they ask questions from prelims during prelims as well as in mains. Okay, because corals and mangroves are very important ecosystems. Okay, they have a lot of environmental significance, and therefore you need to know. About mangroves and corals well. Yes. So, first, types of ecosystems, generally they could be classified as tundra ecosystem, forest, and grasslands. So, tundra refers to tundra belt or tundra zone refers to what? So, terrestrial la in the classification. Okay, again, aquatic la we have a specific different classification. Okay, so ecosystem you have terrestrial as well as aquatic, and inside terrestrial you have these three: tundra, forest, and grassland. What is tundra ecosystem? Frozen or ice filled. Arctic and Antarctic, yeah, the poles especially. Okay, so those are called tundra terrestrial ecosystems. So then comes the forest ecosystem. So forest, you know about forests. The different types of forest we'll see further. But yeah, the other classification is grasslands. You know grasslands, temperate grasslands and tropic grasslands, right? So these are the three basic types of ecosystems found in terrestrial ecosystem. Now, so tundra, like you can see, it is ice filled most of the parts of the year. Okay, so it could be glaciers or smaller or bigger glaciers, okay, ice caps which melts at some part of the year, or which doesn't melt at all, like the ones you find in the poles. Okay, they rarely melt, whereas the glaciers like in the Himalayas, they keep melting and they give some amount of water to the rivers. Okay, so those are rivers which originate from glaciers, whereas you have ice caps found in the poles which doesn't melt that much. If they melt, they melt due to the process of global warming and climate change. Okay, so those warming and that kind of melting of ice will result in increase in the oceanic water. Okay, so the marine environment gets disturbed, the shores are affected, the it gives a larger impact on the land as well. Okay, so yes, so tundra, the name itself means a barren land. By tundra, it means a barren land, meaning வெற்றிடம். ஓகே, பெருசா அதுல எதுவும் இருக்காது, கிராப்ஸ் க்ரோ ஆகாது. ஓகே, மோஸ்ட்லி வந்து இட் இஸ் நாட் அ environment where you see lot of life in it. Okay, so it will mostly be barren. Yes, there will be some amount of life, but it cannot be productively utilized for purposes. Yes, so tundra, the word means a barren land. Okay, it's mostly found in the hemispheres and high altitudes. Yes, it is either found in hemispheres like the north and south poles, or the high altitudes like in Himalayas, the peaks of the mountain ranges. Okay, mountain peaks. Yes. So examples for tundra kind of a climate would be Alaska, Canada, and Siberia. Alaska, Canada, and Siberia. And flora, what kind of plants are found there? Grass, birches, and lichens. Okay, so these are the kind of plants, which means இது மூணுமே பாத்தீங்கன்னா they are very primitive. Okay, so a well developed systems கொண்ட plants cannot be found here. Vascular systems. இதெல்லாம் வந்து ஹை டெம்பரேச்சர்ஸ் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஏரியாஸில் தான் இருக்கும். மோஸ்ட்லி ப்ரிமிட்டிவான ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ் அல்லது பிளான்ஸ் தான் வந்து கேன் பி ஃபவுண்ட் இன் திஸ் பர்டிகுலர் துந்த்ரா ரீஜன். Yes, so fauna, animals like reindeer, muskox, lemmings, so these are found in tundra. Yes. So now forest ecosystem nu சொல்லும்போது forest ecosystem in India is very very important. So has sir finished this classification? Indian geography sir வந்து எடுத்துட்டாருங்களா forests? Yes or no? Guys, are you with me? No, not yet. Okay. So yes. So natural vegetation, the kind of forests that are found in India, it could be rainforest, it could be tropical deciduous forest, it could be montane forest, it could be mangrove, tropical thorn forest. Okay, but India mapல இதை remember பண்றது ரொம்ப easy. Okay, so how to remember அப்படின்னா rainforests, okay, which is marked in this region, if you see this part and this part and this zone. Okay, so in the part you can, because they are in the shades of eastern Himalayas. Okay, so where rainfall can come. Yes, similarly, this is in the region around Western Ghats. Okay, so Western Ghats is responsible for the monsoon here, and Eastern Himalayas, Chirapunji and all, you know that these regions get higher rainfall, right? So with that, it's easy to remember that rainforests can be found in these two regions easily. Yes, okay. Then here you have in some part of Tamil Nadu and some stretch above, okay, Andhra part. இது வந்து it is because we get rainfall during the northeast monsoon or the retreating monsoon. Okay, this region, this coastal region gets a lot of rainfall. So these are the three high rain irukkudiya regions and where the rainforests could be easily found, because the name, with the name itself you can decipher where this could be found. Yes, so now if you see the mountain kind of forests, I'm skipping the tropical deciduous. We'll come back to it later. Mountain forest, which means it is found in the mountains. See here. See here. Is it easy? So it is found mostly in the mountainous terrain. Yes, we have. I think the shades are not visible in your screen in YouTube. This diagram is picked from your NCRT only, Indian Physical Geography book. Okay, there you can find proper shades. Okay, so now I understand why you are kind of not able to understand. Yes, so this part, let me draw it. So this part is the mountain forest along with this part and this small part. So the stretch of Himalayas basically, which is mountainous in nature, has the mountain forests. Yes, so it's easy to remember. Then next we come to uh, yes, so mangroves, mangroves are easy to remember. I'll tell you, we have a separate map for mangroves in the coming இது mostly வந்து coastal areasல தான் இருக்கும். Okay, and mostly வந்து இந்த side coastல, the eastern coast regionsல கொஞ்சம் அதிகமா இருக்கும். இங்க வந்து Gulf areasல வந்து சில இடங்கள்ல இருக்கும். We'll see that map later. But now, see the tropical deciduous and tropical thorn forests now. Okay, so whatever part is not coming under this rainy and mountain part only will come under these two classifications. Okay, tropical deciduous forest and thorn forest. If you see, thorn forest will be found in the desert region of India plus the relatively drier regions of India, which is easy to understand, which is easy to remember. Okay, so this part is tropical thorn forest and even some parts of this region. Okay, so these are thorn forests. If you see, if you when you read Indian geography and climatology, you will understand that this part gets relatively very lesser rainfall. Okay, this is the interior part of this peninsular region, and this western part of India gets very less rain. So you know this part is almost desertified, right? So it is nearing desert, and therefore it is thorn forest mostly. Okay, so it's easy to remember. So the rest of the part will come under deciduous forest. Okay, so this region, this part basically, even parts of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, which are not inside the rainforest classification, will come under tropical deciduous forest. Yes. So this rainforest is nothing but tropical evergreen only. Okay, we call it otherwise that way. Tropical evergreen forests. Yes. Okay. Good. Now, so we shall see how what are the characteristic features of these kind of forests. Okay, so tropical wet evergreen forest. Nama mark pannolya Western Ghats oda shade layum, northeast region layum. So the in that part you can see tall, straight evergreen trees. Okay, and you can see tire pattern in vegetation. That means different kinds of height la வந்து trees இருக்கும். Like a tire, you can see different heights la there can be trees. Okay, on the surface you can see different heights. Okay, so there will be tire pattern in the vegetation. Then the example of trees found in such area is jackfruit and palm. Okay, and areas which are examples of this region: Andaman and Nicobar, Western Ghats. Okay, there we forgot to mention Andaman and Nicobar. Yes, so this part is also coming under rainforest region only. Yes, because our if you remember our monsoon, where does it begin? First, our monsoon rains. Okay, before coming to Western Ghats, the rainfall starts here only. Okay, then only you can see rainfall set in the Western Ghats and the Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Western halfல rain பெய்யறது it's later on தான். Okay, so yes, Andaman and Nicobar and Western Ghats, other regions. Okay. Now, coming to tropical moist deciduous forest. So, deciduous forest அப்படிங்கிறது it's not evergreen. Okay, evergreen na it will be very greenish. Okay, it is found in higher rainfall zones. So deciduous அப்படினா relatively lesser rainfall அப்படின்னு அர்த்தம். அதிலேயே வந்து we have two classifications: dry deciduous and moist deciduous. So moist deciduous அப்படிங்கிறது தான் வந்து throughout India except western and northwestern parts. நம்ம மார்க் பண்ணோம் இல்லையா மேப்ல, அது வந்து tropical deciduous forestல ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா moist deciduous தான். It's not tropical dry deciduous. Okay, so tall branched trees you have. Okay, example will be bamboo, sal, teak, mango, etc. And area will be throughout India except these two parts, and except the evergreen trees parts, and you remove these thorn forest also, you will get moist deciduous forest. So what is dry deciduous then? Throughout north except northeast and parts of Tamil Nadu. Okay, throughout north except northeastern parts of Tamil Nadu. Okay, you see here northla, okay, except these good rainfall regions and some parts of Tamil Nadu, only very few parts. Okay, they'll have this dry deciduous type. Okay, so here canopy doesn't exceed 25 meters, means the tree density, okay, and the height to which the trees can grow, it does not exceed 25 meters. Sal, acacia and bamboo are the examples of this type. Okay, now, so what are montane forests? So இங்க வந்து என்ன பார்க்க முடியும்னா 3 layers of forest. So where did we see the tire kind of vegetation? Tire kind of vegetation was found in tropical evergreen forests. Yes, so this kind of mountain forests have three layers of forest அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். The topmost region, for example, இப்போ நீங்க வந்து Himalayas எடுத்துட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா அதுல இருக்கிற topmost region, or actually the topmost will be completely ice covered. அதுக்கு கீழே இருக்கிற ஒரு zone பார்த்தீங்கன்னா which is topmost of this vegetation வச்சு பார்க்கும்போது இருக்கிறதுலே அதிகமான altitudeல இருக்க vegetation நீங்க எடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it will be having coniferous trees only. அதுக்கு கீழே வந்து deciduous trees இருக்கும். அதுக்கு கீழே we have what we call as rhododendrons. Okay, so this example will be areas of Nepal, Arunachal Pradesh, Nilgiris, Kerala, etc. On the top you will find coniferous trees, below it you will see deciduous trees, and below that you can see rhododendrons. Recently rhododendron garden was started in which state? It's an assignment, go and check. Rhododendron garden was set up in which state? Okay, and the particular type of trees, rhododendron is a type of tree. Okay, a few species it signifies. Okay, so you see why they are special, why they have created a new garden for it, and which state has actually started it appadinu you have to go and see. So this forest will have 2000 millimeters of rainfall annually. Yes, yeah. Now coming to the another specific thing, which is the Himalayan moist and dry temperate forests. Okay, so Himalayan forest ye நம்ம வந்து என்னவா further classify பண்றோம்னா moist, Himalayan moist and Himalayan dry temperate அப்படின்னு நம்ம classify பண்றோம். Okay, so இந்த moist எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்னா western Himalayasல இருந்து eastern Himalayas வரைக்கும். Okay, from the western Himalayas to the eastern Himalayas, in the stretch இப்படி இருக்கு அப்படின்னா இந்த stretchல trees in the west if you see broad leaved oak, okay, walnut, rhododendrons. Okay, so east ஆக என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னா rainfall வந்து ஹெவியா இருக்கும். வெஸ்ட்ல வந்து அவ்வளோக்கா இருக்காது, rainfall is lesser. That is why you have Chirabunji here, not here. Okay, that you can remember to say which is heavy rainfall region. So trees in east என்னன்னா அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா coniferous, oak, walnut types, mixed rich vegetation. Okay, vegetation வந்து ரிச்சா இருக்கும் வெஸ்டோட கம்பேர் பண்ணீங்கன்னா. ஏன்னா அங்கே ரெயின்ஃபால் கம்மியா இருக்குல்ல, இங்க ரெயின்ஃபால் அதிகமா இருக்கும். அப்போ வெஜிடேஷனும் வந்து இன்னும் திக்கராகவும் டென்ஸாகவும் இன்னும் டைவர்ஸாகவும் இருக்கும். Okay, so that is how you will find. Then dry அப்படின்னா Kinnaur, Sikkim and other parts of Himalayas இங்க என்னன்னா coniferous மட்டும்தான் இருக்கும். இந்த coniferous ஓட டைப்ஸ் ஆன maple, juniper, fir, oak இந்த மாதிரி டைப்ஸ் மட்டும்தான் you will find in this dry forests. Okay, they will be relatively drier. You cannot see so much of varieties. There will be only coniferous trees. Yes. Now டெரெஸ்ட்ரியலோட இப்போ நம்ம வந்து என்ன பண்ணோம், ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து நம்ம துந்த்ரா ஈகோசிஸ்டம்னா என்னன்னு பார்த்தோம். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஃபாரஸ்ட் ஈகோசிஸ்டம்னா என்னன்னு பார்க்கும்போது நம்ம வந்து இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற ஃபாரஸ்ட்ஸே வந்து ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்காக பார்த்து முடிச்சிட்டோம். இப்போ அடுத்து வாட் வி ஆர் கோயிங் டு see is grassland ecosystem. So India here and there has grasslands, but it doesn't mean we have the wider stretch of grasslands as you see in steppes or savannas, temperate and tropical grassland. அந்த மாதிரி zones வந்து இந்தியாவில் கிடையாது. Where two ecosystems meet, அந்த மாதிரி சில ecotone zonesல மட்டும் you have grass stretches and very rarely grasslands. Okay, it's not as big as you find in steppes or savannas. Okay, so now coming to grassland ecosystem. So நான் ஏற்கனவே சொல்லியிருக்கேன் கிராஸ் வளர்றதுக்கு வந்து பெரிய நியூட்ரிஷன் வந்து தேவையில்லை. however they retain a lot of nutrition. Okay, whatever is found they will keep with themselves. But however ரொம்ப rainfall தேவையில்லை, கம்மி amount of moisture இருந்தா போதும். Okay, without a lot of demands actually grass can grow. அதனால தான் எங்க வேணாலும் புல்லு முளைக்கும்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. கரெக்டா? So where rainfall is about just 25 to 75 centimeters per year, you can see that grass can grow. Okay, and these are specifically regions which are not enough to support a forest. Okay, so these will not be desert, ஓகே. டெசர்ட் அதாவது தார் டெசர்ட் மாதிரியோ, சஹாரா மாதிரியோ அது டெசர்ட்டா இருக்காது. அட் த சேம் டைம் ஃபாரஸ்ட் ஆகுறதுக்குரிய குவாலிட்டீஸ் எதுவும் இருக்காது. ஃபாரஸ்ட் ஆகுறக்குரிய குவாலிட்டி என்ன? ஒண்ணு ரெயின்ஃபால் இருக்கணும். சீட்ஸ் வந்து டெவலப் ஆகுறதுக்கு தேவையான ஹியூமிடிட்டி, டெம்பரேச்சர், ரெயின்ஃபால் இது எல்லாமே இருக்கணும். ஸோ நத்திங் ஆஃப் திஸ் சார்ட் வில் பி ஃபவுண்ட் தேர். இட் வில் பி ஸ்கேன்டி ரெயின்ஃபால். Okay, so what happens there? You cannot see much of vegetation. That is why grass grows there more. ஓகே. ஷ்ரப்ஸ் கூட வளர முடியாது. ஷ்ரப்னாலே அது ஒரு பிளான்ட்டை விட கொஞ்சம் பெருசுன்னு தான் அர்த்தம். ஸோ அதுவே அங்கே வளர முடியாது. Okay, mostly it will be in between a desert and a forest ecosystem, so which means only primitive crops, not even crops, okay, primitive plants can grow there, meaning grass. Yes. So the classification of grasslands would be temperate grasslands, steppe formation, savanna grazings. These are examples. Yes. So temperate grasslands, they are found in high altitudes, high latitudes and high altitudes. Okay, like in Himalayas in India. Then you have steppes formation. Steppes formation India la enga irukku appdin pathina Western Rajasthan. Okay, the soil there you would find will be sandy and saline in nature. Okay, so the rainfall will be like 200 millimeter a year and dry season will be 10 to 11 months. Okay, so there nothing can grow. Okay, only grass will be there. So this is the steppe formation found in the Western Rajasthan in India. Okay, இந்தியால ஸ்டெப்பீஸ் டைப் ஆஃப் கிராஸ்லேண்ட் எங்க இருக்கு அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு வந்து this thing is example Western Rajasthan. Yes. Now savanna grazing formation அது எங்க இருக்கு அப்படின்னா central and eastern part of Rajasthan. Again, if you remember, both of these are confined only to Rajasthan, the grassland part. Okay, அப்படி இல்லை அப்படின்னா ஸ்டெஃபி அண்ட் சவானா ரெண்டுமே இதுக்குள்ள தான் வருது. அது இல்லாம வர டெம்பரேட் கிராஸ்லேண்ட் கிளாசிஃபிகேஷனுக்குள்ள ஹை ஆல்டிடியூட்ல இருக்க ஹிமாலயாஸ்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய கிராஸ்லேண்ட்ஸ் வருது. அவ்வளோதான். தெர் ஆர் நோ அதர் ஏரியாஸ் வேர் யூ கேன் ஃபைண்ட் திஸ் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் அ வெஜிடேஷன் மோஸ்ட்லி இன் இந்தியா. Okay, so here if you see the dry season is like 6 to 8 months and the rainfall will be some 200 millimeters more. Okay, it's 500 millimeter per year. That's all that you can see. Yes. Then comes aquatic ecosystem. Freshwater, example lakes, ponds and rivers. Marine, oceans and seas. Okay, marine is salty, saltwater ecosystem. Yes. Then you have what is called brackish. It is salty, but it's neither, proper freshwater nor proper saltwater. It's in between. Okay, so the mangroves, estuaries and salt marshes. So there you can see some amount of freshwater also combined with the salt ecosystem. Okay, so proper marine is ocean and seas. Yes, so these are the aquatic things, water related ecosystems where you find a lot of water. Yes. Okay. So I don't think there's a lot to teach in this kind of a thing, but we'll now go into specifics. Okay. So freshwater ecosystems la padikumbodhu there is an important process that you should actually know for examination, which is eutrophication and harmful algal blooms. Okay, so this was what I was talking about when we were solving a question on phosphorus. I think someone mentioned NPK fertilizers and how this relates to algal blooms and growth of plants in pond water, right? So yes, so nutrient load up happens in a lake. Okay, இது வந்து ஒரு lake ecosystem வச்சுக்கோங்க. Okay, so என்ன நடக்கும்? Excess nutrients which are found in our fertilizers அது என்ன ஆகும்? குளத்துல வந்து தண்ணியோட வந்து கலக்கும் இல்லையா? ரெயின் வாட்டரோட சேர்ந்து தண்ணியில வந்து கலக்கும். அப்ப இங்க வந்து நியூ நியூட்ரியன்ஸ் வந்து இப்போ உள்ள வந்திருக்கு. Plants flourish. These pollutants cause aquatic plant growth of algae, duckweed and other plants. என்ன ஆகும்? திடீர்னு நிறைய நியூட்ரியன்ஸ் வர ஆரம்பிச்சிச்சுன்னா ஆப்வியஸா என்ன ஆகும்? அங்க இருக்கக்கூடிய பிளான்ஸ் வந்து இன்னும் அதிகமாகும். நம்ம நேத்தே பார்த்துருக்கோம்ல, எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் ரிசோர்ஸ் அதிகமா இருக்கோ அங்கெல்லாம் ரீப்ரொடக்ஷன் அதிகமா இருக்கும். அந்த ஸ்பீஷிஸ் வந்து தன்னை இன்னும் அதிகமா ப்ராபகேட் பண்ண ட்ரை பண்ணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. We saw how they are interrelated. The amount of resources found in an ecosystem and how much they reproduce and they thrive in that ecosystem. is directly related அப்படின்னு நம்ம பார்த்தோம் இல்லையா? ஸோ இப்போ இங்கே நியூட்ரியன்ஸ் அதிகமாக இருக்கு, அப்போ என்ன ஆகும், பிளான்ஸ் இன்னும் அபண்டன்ட்டாக வளர ஆரம்பிக்கும். எஸ், ஸோ இது பொல்யூட்டன்ட் தான். NPK, if nitrogen or phosphorus or whatever, okay, any mineral, if it's found beyond the quantity found in the natural ecosystem, it is a pollutant only. Okay, only because it is a pollutant, it is joining the run of water and it is coming to the lake. Okay, so when it enters the lake, though it is a pollutant, it is a nutrient for a lot of organisms. So what happens, these organisms start multiplying in n number. Okay, now algae blooms, oxygen is depleted. So in the algae என்ன ஆகும், அதிகமா வளர்ந்துகிட்டே போகும் எங்க, இந்த மாதிரி surface மேல. Okay, you can see here, see how greenish this environment is. Yes, you would have seen it anywhere. Yes, so algae வந்து அதிகமா bloom ஆகும்போது என்ன ஆகும், கொஞ்சம் டைம்ல thick layer ஃபார்ம் ஆயிருச்சுனா இந்த sunlight வந்து உள்ளுக்குள்ள penetrate ஆக முடியாது. Okay, so when this thing, sunlight cannot penetrate inside the lake, what happens, these plants and living organisms inside will not get enough sunlight, so these plants will start dying. Okay, and similarly the fish will start dying because they will not get enough oxygen from the surface. Oxygen in the surface la dhaan animals plants oxygen as well as sunlight இந்த சர்ஃபேஸ்ல இருந்து உள்ள வந்தாதான் அது பிளான்ட்டுக்கும் ஃபிஷ்ஷுக்கும் கிடைக்கும். ஸோ ஆக்சிஜனும் வர மாட்டேங்குது, சன்லைட்டும் வர மாட்டேங்குது. ஹவ் வில் பிளான்ஸ் அண்ட் ஃபிஷ் லிவ் தேர்? தே வில் ஸ்டார்ட் டையிங் ஆஃப், தே வில் கெட் டெட் அண்ட் டீகம்போஸ்ட். ஸோ இப்படி எல்லாமே சாக ஆரம்பிச்சதுன்னா இட் ரெஃபர்ஸ் டு டெத் ஆஃப் தி ஈகோசிஸ்டம். The oxygen level inside this lake comes to a point where in the stage வந்து எங்க வந்து சன்லைட்டும் ஆக்சிஜனும் கம்மியா இருக்கோ அதை வந்து நம்ம ஜென்ரலா, not just in this case, generally wherever there is lesser oxygen penetration, we call that as hypoxia. Okay, hypona என்ன, கம்மி, hyperனா என்ன, அதிகம், right? So hypoxia அப்படின்னா it means lesser oxygen is found in that environment. Yes, so what happens, because of lower oxygen these organisms are not able to live. This results in the death of the ecosystem. The entire lake will go useless, there is no life in that lake. Okay, it's almost equal to a dead lake. There is no oxygen, there is no fish living there, all ella fish settu medaka arambichirum, plants settu decay ஆக ஆரம்பிச்சிரும். Okay, so this is called the process of eutrophication. So there is another question, அப்ப இது வந்து எப்பவுமே பொல்யூட்டன்ட்னால தான் நடக்குமா, நேச்சுரலா யூட்ராஃபிகேஷன் நடக்காதா அப்படின்னு ஒரு question வரும். Naturally eutrophication can take place. Okay, but when it is natural, it means that அந்த லேக் எவ்வளோ நைட்ரஜன், பாஸ்பரஸ் ஆர் பொட்டாசியம் வாட்எவர் என்ன வந்து ஹேண்டில் பண்ண முடியுமோ அந்த அளவுக்கான நியூட்ரியன்ட் தான் வந்து லேக்குக்குள்ள வரும். அப்ப மழை பெய்யும் போது எகெயின் இட் வில் கோ அவுட். ஓகே, ஸோ நம்ம ஆர்டிஃபிஷியலாக நிறைய இந்த ஃபர்டிலைசர் இன்டியூஸ்ட் ஆகும், இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் பொல்யூட்டன்ஸ் வந்து கெமிக்கல்ஸ் வந்து லேக்ல கலக்கிறதுனாலையும் தான் அதிகமான அளவில் யூட்ராஃபிகேஷன் நடக்குது. அதர்வைஸ் தேர் வில் ஆல்வேஸ் பி அ பேலன்ஸ். ஓகே, ஸோ இந்த ஆல்கேவை ஃபீட் பண்ணக்கூடிய ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ் கூட நிறைய இருக்கும். ஸோ அதெல்லாம் வந்து நேச்சுரல் ஈகோசிஸ்டமாக இருக்கும்போது மோஸ்ட்லி இட் வில் பி இன் அ ஸ்டேட் ஆஃப் பேலன்ஸ். ஓகே, ஸோ இது வந்து ரொம்ப அதிகமாக ப்ராலிஃபரேட் ஆகிட்டே போயிட்டு இருக்காம ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல வந்து அது இல்லாமல் போகும். எஸ், ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் நேச்சுரலாகவும் இந்த ப்ராசஸ் நடக்கும். ஆனால் அப்படி நடக்கும்போது இட் கேன் contain the growth of the algae and it will come back to its balance. Whereas when it is artificially induced through some pollutant, then the lake has no capacity to actually deal with it, and therefore this keeps on going and it leads to the death of the lake ecosystem. Okay, and this algal bloom, okay, this algal bloom or what is this green layer here, it's actually harmful. Okay, it produces a lot of toxins, this water cannot be consumed. Okay, so this is the process of eutrophication or harmful algal blooms. Okay, so இது எங்கெல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னா அர்பன் ஈகோசிஸ்டத்தில் வந்து என்ன மாதிரி பொல்யூஷன்ஸ் எல்லாம் நீங்கள் பார்க்க முடியும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னால், யூ ஸ்பீக் அபவுட் லேக்ஸ் அண்ட் பாண்ட்ஸ். ஓகே, நம்மளோட சிட்டிஸ்ல இருக்கிற முக்கால்வாசி பாண்ட்ஸ் வந்து இந்த கண்டிஷன்ல தான் இருக்கு. ஓகே, இன்ஃபேக்ட் பெங்களூர்ல ஒன் லேக் வந்து இட் காட் ஃபயர் ஓகே, ஃப்ராத் அந்த அளவுக்கு வந்து ஐ எம் ஃபர்கெட்டிங் த லேக்ஸ் நேம் ஆக்சுவலி. ஒரு வாட்டர் பாடி வந்து தீப்பிடிச்சு எரியுதுன்னா இட்ஸ் ரியலி ஃபன்னி டு லிசன் டு, right? So that is what we human beings are doing to the environment around us. Okay, so when lot of pollutants, froth and foam from industrial output get comes to that lake, what happens? அந்த chemicalsனால ஃபயர் ஆகி ஒரு லேக்ல வந்து மேல வந்து தீப்பிடிச்சு எரியுது. Okay, so that is the kind of uh, uh, things that we are doing. Okay, so you can use these examples to say how water bodies are not proper today, how we need to restore them. You can use them in examples like Balandur Lake. Yeah, good Tilak. Yeah, that is the one. Okay, so இந்த மாதிரியான issues எல்லாம் வந்து you whenever you asked you can use it. How freshwater ecosystems are depleting in India. You talk about urban lakes, and in specific urban lakes or rural lakes, whatever, you say how this process of eutrophication and harmful algal bloom is happening. Then you can also talk about higher industrialization also leads to depletion of our water resources in urban areas. So which means these industries, they don't have areas to put off their waste, so what they do, they instead put it in over the lakes. Okay, so you can talk about all these things when such questions and mains appear. Okay, so now done with freshwater ecosystem க்கு ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கான ப்ராசஸ் தான் யூட்ராஃபிகேஷன் அண்ட் ஹார்ம்ஃபுல் ஆல்கல் ப்ளூம். அது சால்ட்டி வாட்டர்ல நடக்காது. ஏன்னா சால்ட் வாட்டர்ல ஆல்கல் ப்ளூமுங்கிறது வந்து இட்ஸ் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி லெஸ்ஸர். அண்ட் ஈவன் இஃப் சோ அவ்வளோ பெரிய ஓஷன்லையும் சீலையும் கொஞ்சம் ஆல்கே வளர்றதுனால ஒன்றும் ஆயிர போகாது. ஓகே, பாண்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் லேக்ஸ் ஆர் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ஸ்டேக்னன்ட் என்வாயன்மெண்ட்ஸ். ஓகே, யூ கேன் see that இப்போ there is something called the ரெட் ஆல்கே ஃபெனாமினா, ப்ளூ ஆல்கே ஃபெனாமினா அப்படின்லாம் இப்போ அதிகமாக பேசிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஓகே, தீஸ் ஆர் just Google it and read about all this. These you can we shall deal with all these in our current affairs classes. But however, see that uh, red algae and blue algae இதுவும் வந்து இப்போ அதிகமாக இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆயிட்டு வருது, ஈவன் இன் ஓஷன்ஸ் அண்ட் அதர் வாட்டர் பாடிஸ். ஸோ எஸ், salt waterலையும் sometimes it can happen, but it is of a lesser concern because salt water is again not your potable water or what you drink, right? So it's a matter of lesser concern. However, it's depleting the ocean resources, the resources in the sea. But water in the lakes and ponds are near us. Okay, they are responsible for recharge of our groundwater, they are responsible for our everyday drinking water, so it's a matter of concern. Okay, now coming to brackish water ecosystems, and of the brackish water ecosystems, the one which is very important and is a favorite area of UPSC is mangroves. Okay, so mangroves, these are evergreen land plants growing on sheltered shores. Okay, typically on tidal floods, deltas, estuaries, bays, creeks, barrier islands. Okay, hope you have read about all these forms in bayna enna, creek na enna, இதெல்லாம் I think sir would have already taught you. Barrier islands, deltas. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ரீஜன்ஸில் தான் வந்து எவர்கிரீன் லேண்ட் பிளான்ஸாக இருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த மேக்ரூவ்ஸ் க்ரோ ஆகும். ஓகே, so they have a adaptation to salinity, that is why they are a brackish water ecosystem. Okay, அது வந்து சலைனான சால்ட்டியான ecosystemத்துல வளரக்கூடிய ஒரு தாவரம். Okay, I hope you know what is mangrove already. I think you would have seen in a lot of movies. Yes, mangroves, pichavaram is the kind of example that we find in Tamil Nadu, right? Sundarbans when it comes to West Bengal. Yes, so these kind of regions, these plants are called mangroves. They require high solar radiation. The conditions for growth of mangroves is important. Okay, in geography questions you will get such questions. Okay, so they require high solar radiation, have the ability to absorb fresh water. Fresh water absorb பண்றதுக்கு saline and brackish waterல அது வளர்ந்தாலும் கூட fresh water தனியா absorb பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்கான கெப்பாசிட்டி வந்து mangroveஸ்க்கு இருக்கும். ஓகே, இந்த பாலிலிருந்து தண்ணியை பிரித்து சாப்பிட்ற அன்னப்பறவை போலன்னு சொல்லுவாங்கள்ல, அந்த மாதிரி இட் ரெக்வயர்ஸ் ஹை சோலார் ரேடியேஷன் அண்ட் ஹேஸ் த எபிலிட்டி டு அப்சார்ப் ஃப்ரெஷ் வாட்டர் ஃப்ரம் saline or brackish waters. Okay, and it produces something called nematophores or the blind roots to overcome respiration problem in the anaerobic soil conditions. Okay, even if there is no not enough oxygen found in the soil, as it is a brackish water environment, it can still have what is called blind roots. Blind roots னு சொல்லுவாங்க. I have the picture in my next slide. What it does is, those are also called nematophores. What it does is, it is capable of penetrating more and getting enough oxygen that it requires. Okay, and it exhibits viviparity mode of reproduction, means seeds germinate in the tree itself. Okay, seeds வந்து அந்த ட்ரீலயே இதாகி அப்படியே வளர்ந்துகிட்டே வரும். இப்படி பக்கத்துல 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 லைக் செயின். ஓகே, புதர் மாதிரி இப்படி வளர்ந்துகிட்டே வரும். Okay, that is why mangroves, if you see in Pichavaram, they are very close and dense. Okay, வேற பக்கம் சீட் ப்ரொபகேட் ஆகி வெளியே போயெல்லாம் வளராது. ஓகே, அந்த ட்ரீ இருக்கிற பக்கத்துலயே ஜெர்மினேட் ஆகி அங்கேயே வளர ஆரம்பிக்கும். இட்ஸ் வெரி டென்ஸ், தட் இஸ் வை. ஓகே, ஸோ மேங்க்ரூவ், தீஸ் ஆர் கால்ட் த nematophores. These are called nematophores or blind roots. Okay, so through which they can get the atmospheric gases that they require. Yes, so this is how mangroves look like you see in Pichavaram. Okay, so where are mangroves generally found in India அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா, this is important. Sundarbans mangroves, இங்க Kaveri deltaic region, that is what we were talking about. Then you have Goa, a little bit of mangroves, Ratnagiri mangroves, mangroves in Gujarat. Okay, these three regions. Okay, again you see it in gulfs and bays, right? So it's easy to remember. Krishna Godavari mangroves a little bit, and Mahanadi or the delta region la. So remember that most of the deltaic regions contain mangroves. எல்லா ரிவரும் சீல எம்டி ஆகக்கூடிய இடத்துல you can find these mangroves. Yes, yeah. In Kerala, okay, that's an interesting question. Okay, I think in Kerala it's relatively lesser. Okay, mangroves. Yes, we see a lot of backwaters, but I don't think we have enough of. See, இப்ப இந்த எல்லா இடத்துலையுமே sea water and this water, fresh water, okay, deltaic regionsல தான் இது இருக்கு. Okay, so Kerala in the part, okay, even the rivers, at last they end up as backwaters or they become part of backwaters mostly in the areas la. Okay, probably that's the reason why they have not been mapped in Kerala, or maybe the density is lesser. I'll just find it out. Okay, I'll clarify in our next class. Yes, so if we go further, it's more into mangroves and corals. I think we will stop here, and we shall meet in our next class. Yes, so happy new year to everyone. Thank you. Bilkesh, I'll look into it. Okay. This figure has been taken from the NCRTs only, but I'll find out, okay, why it has not been mentioned about Kerala, and I'll look into the density. Okay. Anyway, it will be found in forest survey also. So I'll just add it. I'll read about it and clarify in the next class. Yes. Thank you.